Tonight, disaster in Jamaica as a life-threatening storm makes landfall.
Extensive damage beyond our imagination.
The extensive scale of destruction, new warnings about the dangers inside the heavy floodwaters, and
I'm actually nervous right now, I'm shaking.
The anguish of Jamaican Canadians fearing the worst for their loved ones in the eye of the storm. Plus, who criminal organizations are now turning to in extortion attempts. And swinging for redemption at the World Series.
Hit well to deep left center. And this one will go!
Oh, say, can you see?
How an anthem singer has Blue Jays fans feeling cursed.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. Hurricane Melissa is moving towards Cuba tonight, showing no mercy when it slammed into Jamaica as a ferocious Category 5, the strongest storm ever to directly hit the island nation of about 3 million people. Powerful winds sent roofs and debris flying, knocking out power to hundreds of thousands. Officials now warning disastrous floodwaters could contain crocodiles. Airports in Jamaica remain closed tonight, and Global Affairs Canada is issuing travel warnings for the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, parts of Cuba, as well as Haiti. CTV's Joy Malvin starts us off.
Hurricane Melissa smashed into Jamaica with a fury this island nation has never seen. The most powerful storm on the planet brought flooding rain, storm surge, and ferocious winds, hammering popular resort areas, ripping off roofs, uprooting trees and swamping streets, and damaging local hospitals.
We're getting videos of and pictures of severely damaged public infrastructure, hospitals, places of safety. Homes are inundated and flooded.
Officials say only 15,000 people evacuated to shelters, reluctant to leave their homes. And with airports closed, thousands of tourists were left stranded, packed into hotels.
Here is our home away from home as we shelter through the storm.
Some took it all in stride, like Canadian Alex Green.
Oh, I feel low stakes in my resort. I've been told they have a generator and a backup generator and a backup generator for the backup generator.
The storm moved painfully slow, worsening the devastation as it tore through the island.
Flooding is a major issue, not to mention the infrastructure damage of our road network and our bridges and, of course, obviously structures.
The massive storm pushing past Jamaica into Cuba and other islands, the sheer force of it has even stunned some scientists.
They produce 20 to 30% more flooding rains because of the warming of the planet. So the impacts are no longer subtle. We're seeing them play out in the devastating consequences of these storms.
Jamaica's prime minister declared his entire country a disaster area, but says it's still too dangerous to send out search and rescue crews. Omar?
All right, Joy, thank you. For the roughly 250,000 Canadians of Jamaican ancestry, there's a feeling of helplessness, even fear. CTV's John Valley-Rouse spoke to some of them today.
At the Jamaican Canadian Community Centre in Toronto, so many at this gathering said they had relatives or loved ones in the path of the storm, unable to get in touch with some of them because of widespread phone and power outages.
I am worried I didn't sleep last night. Didn't sleep last night and maybe tonight again, because we're just staying by the phone, just open and praying.
Lori Gardner tried to call her dad but couldn't get through. He lives in Westmoreland, near to where the eye of the hurricane made landfall.
I'm a little concerned, like how I'm not hearing from him, but at the same time, I'm not worried.
Craig Wellington's been watching live streams from Jamaica, worried about the waterfront house he owns there, along with the well-being of his aunt and uncle and other family members.
It's just very difficult to be able to, in this position, and many Jamaicans are in this position where you don't know.
In response, the Jamaican Canadian Association is working with other groups, planning relief efforts, including a fundraiser. These volunteers said they'll likely be putting together supplies of food and clothing once the need is determined.
It's going to be a sad time, but we all had to pull together and work together and help, do whatever we can do to help.
David Beatty is the association's president. He remembers going through Hurricane Gilbert, which struck Jamaica 4 decades ago.
We saw in Hurricane Gilbert, it took 6 months to get power back up across the country. We don't know how long it will take this time. We're hopefully not that long, but the point is it could take that much.
Still for now, everyone hoping for the best. John Venevali-Rouse, CTV News, Toronto.
The Prime Minister is now en route to South Korea, where he will attend the summit of the Asian-Pacific Economic Cooperation. U.S. President Donald Trump will also be there, and so will China's president. Here's CTV's Judy Trin.
Mark Carney shakes hands with his Singapore counterpart, Lawrence Wong, both prime ministers and former economists.
There are many opportunities to build on that leadership, particularly bilaterally between our nations. Everything from clean tech through to logistics, food security, energy security, and beyond.
As the rift grows with the United States, Carney is reaching into his Rolodex, calling on old friends from the finance world to invest in Canada's major projects.
Our Prime Minister is very well connected globally to not just political leaders, but to corporate leaders, leaders of significant investment firms.
In Japan, U.S. President Donald Trump doesn't need to pitch. Sana Takeichi, the country's first female leader, gave Trump a golf club owned by her predecessor, the late Shinzo Abe, and promised to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. Then they signed a deal on critical minerals.
The friendship between the United States and Japan is strong as it can be, and it's thriving, it's prosperous.
Japan, the ally, has also agreed to invest $550 billion in American industry in exchange for 15% baseline tariffs. After avoiding each other in Malaysia, Carney and Trump will both be in South Korea for the Asia-Pacific Economic Summit. Both have bilateral meetings set up with China's Xi Jinping. When asked if Canada would drop EV tariffs, Carney said it's too soon to decide.
There's no preset offer issue. This is the difference between relationship and transaction.
As Carney heads to APEC in South Korea, it's not turbulence that's the concern, but tensions on the ground. Not only has Trump broke off negotiations with Canada, he doesn't even want to meet with the Prime Minister. Judy Trin, CTV News, Singapore.
It was Ontario's anti-tariff ad that prompted the termination of those talks, and the province's premier was forced to answer questions about it again today. Here's CTV's senior political correspondent Michael Couture.
I think he text messaged me a few things, but outside of that,
was he happy with you? Or?
Yeah, he's happy. Why wouldn't he be happy?
Doug Ford has been in communication with the Prime Minister since Ontario's ad featuring Ronald Reagan angered President Donald Trump. The Premier said both Mark Carney and his Chief of Staff saw the ad before it aired.
Well, they know what I was doing, and I said I was going to stop it on Monday. It was very successful.
A federal government source won't confirm whether or not the Prime Minister had seen it, adding they were not involved in the production or distribution of the commercial. On Parliament Hill, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre demanded clarification.
Did the Prime Minister or his staff see the ad before it went out? Yes or no?
The Minister for Canada-U.S. Trade wouldn't answer that question, saying the Prime Minister is ready to negotiate.
And doing everything necessary to get the deal with the Americans that will be in the interest of Canadian workers and Canadian business.
While harshly criticized by the American ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra, Jean Charest didn't think the ad was offensive. As a member of the Prime Minister's Council on Canada-U.S. Relations, the former Premier says Team Canada needs to stay united.
We need to continue to be the adult in the room, stay focused, stay close to each other, share information. And if we do that, we will increase our chances of coming out of this with a pretty good outcome.
New Brunswick's Premier Susan Holt told reporters everyone has their part to play in this negotiation, including engaging with Americans, adding the art of the deal is a complex thing, especially with this president. Omar.
All right, Mike, thank you. Hundreds of thousands of students and 50,000 teachers will be heading back to class tomorrow after the Alberta government used the notwithstanding clause to end the weeks-long teachers' strike.
I've spoken with several teachers who are in tears of disbelief. Disbelief that their own government would take away their most fundamental freedoms.
Teachers could face maximum fines of $500 a day if they ignore the order. More than 740,000 students have been out of school since October 6th. Canada Post says it's laying off dozens of managers as it looks to cut costs during the ongoing contract disputes. In a memo shared with staff, Canada Post says the move is part of its major restructuring efforts to meet the shifting demands of the Postal Service. The company will be heading back to the bargaining table later this week, with the union representing thousands of workers who remain on a national rotating strike. And Amazon is cutting 14,000 corporate jobs as the tech giant plans to ramp up spending on artificial intelligence. The layoffs affect multiple divisions, including Amazon Web Services and Prime Video, though it's not clear what the Canadian impact will be. Amazon has more than 1.5 million full and part-time workers worldwide. The cuts come at an especially challenging time for young people looking for work in this country. And as CTV's Kathy Lee reports, they're looking for supports in next week's budget.
I've been rejected at Superstore twice.
It's a small but sharp blow to her confidence. Rejection message after rejection message. The sting lingers.
I'd go there in person, I'd write cover letters, talk to the hiring manager, and nothing.
16-year-old Alexandra D. has submitted close to 100 applications this year and only recently landed something.
It's really hard to get a minimum wage job.
Jaden White knows the struggle too well. He went months without a stable job.
It's definitely discouraging. You kind of feel that you're not going to have a future in this country.
And after applying for hundreds of entry-level positions, no luck for this post-secondary student.
The best way I could just do is just hold on to hope, keep applying for jobs.
According to Statistics Canada, the youth unemployment rate was 15% in September. Excluding the pandemic years, that's the highest rate since 2010.
It's harder for new job seekers to find work. Young people are especially vulnerable to that, environment where firms aren't necessarily hiring new workers.
The number of positions that firms are trying to fill down 15% compared to last year.
The market's just becoming more and more and more saturated. Applications are coming in fast and furiously for every position.
In a statement, the Federal Jobs and Families Ministry says it has a plan that includes generating and protecting hundreds of thousands of jobs, connecting Canadians to opportunities faster, and upskill and train workers. With the federal budget nearing, Brody Gomez is counting on support.
It's finding solutions that align with not only Canadians, but also businesses.
For Alexandra, she's off the job hunt hamster wheel for now.
I'm definitely relieved.
And hopes the process is a bit easier the next time. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
Police in Quebec are urging restaurant owners not to give in to extortion attempts by criminal organizations, now shifting their recruitment methods. CTV's Geneviève Beauchemin explains.
These are the charred remnants of an upscale restaurant on Montreal's South Shore, attacked by arsonists, engulfed in flames, police suspect, as part of a recent wave of extortion attempts.
They have to give a certain amount of money or there'll be consequences. Basically, that's the way they operate.
Captain Sophie Touga of the Major Crime Squad of the Longueuil Police says several factors are likely behind the increase in cases.
I guess restaurant owners have given to the threats, so that's why they are pursuing those crimes.
Those who pay, she says, are often stuck paying over and again. And Touga is urging owners to work with police instead. Prevention officers have gone door to door in cafes and restaurants to break the cycle. It's not a new crime, and it has hit many parts of Canada. In June, restaurant owners in the Montreal region demanded authorities do more to crack down, fearing increasingly violent attacks. This men's building was targeted.
The scale of the crime is outrageous,
In early October, reports emerged that a man nicknamed Bobby the Greek was suspected of crimes including a rash of extortion cases. That he was under police surveillance when he was gunned down in broad daylight in a Starbucks in Laval, north of Montreal. On the South Shore, police won't say what organization they suspect may be behind the attack, but a minor and two 19-year-olds were arrested here.
What we're seeing is that they recruit younger and younger people to do those dirty jobs.
And police say their investigation is progressing, and so is their work with restaurant owners in the area. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, St. Lambert, Quebec.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered, quote, immediate and powerful strikes in Gaza after Israel accused Hamas of violating the two-week-old ceasefire deal. The order came after Israel reported Hamas had fired on its forces in southern Gaza and accused the militant group of intentionally delaying the return of the remains of hostages. Hamas denies firing on Israeli forces and says it will now delay handing over the body of a hostage in response to the order. And video posted by the U.S. Defense Secretary appears to show another military strike in the Eastern Pacific in an escalating campaign to hit alleged drug trafficking boats. Without providing evidence, the Trump administration says 14 so-called narco-terrorists were killed. Coming up.
If Canada spends billions of dollars on equipment, but that equipment doesn't have sufficient trained personnel to actually use the equipment.
The warnings about Canada's spending on defense ahead of the budget. More money for defense spending is expected in next week's budget after sustained criticism from Canada's allies. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver on exactly where those dollars could go.
For decades, the Canadian military has been forced to stretch a dollar, but that could change.
Governments of all stripes for the last 30 or 40 years have been a little bit, maybe even neglectful. So I think right now this is the time.
Canada has committed to spending more than $9 billion to finally reach NATO's 2% target by the end of March 2026. A priority, aging bases and living quarters, the Auditor General says, are frequently in poor condition.
When you're running a military on a shoestring budget, you have rot out on your bases and your wings and your naval facilities. So the first any number of billions are going to have to go into building out the infrastructure.
Ottawa has already announced billions for recruitment and retention efforts, as well as pay raises and new benefits for military members. But experts say they hope to see more initiatives in the budget.
If Canada spends billions of dollars on equipment, but that equipment doesn't have sufficient trained personnel to actually use the equipment, some of that money will underdeliver on its aspirations.
Money for new equipment is also expected, and experts say the wish list is long. Canada needs new state-of-the-art submarines, new warships, and replacements for the aging Griffins.
And this is, their main interceptor.
Glenn Cowan, whose firm invests in Canadian defense and national security companies, hopes Carney's pledge to introduce Buy Canada policies in the budget boosts Canadian entrepreneurs.
Canada doesn't have a technology problem. We don't have a talent problem. We don't have an innovation problem. We have an adoption problem. And the challenge is rewarding Canadian companies to do business in Canada.
Spending on the military is only expected to grow. The Prime Minister has pledged to spend 5% of GDP on defense within the next decade. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
Still ahead.
Oh, say, can you see?
Why some are saying a pregame performance may have jinxed the World Series. Research monkeys being transported on a Mississippi highway escaped captivity today after the truck carrying them overturned. Local police initially warning that the escaped monkeys being transported from a biomedical research center were aggressive and possibly carrying diseases, but they were later confirmed to not be infectious. Officials say all but one were euthanized. Last night's 18-inning marathon tied the record for the longest game in World Series history with another one back in 2018. And there's also another connection between those games that might sound familiar.
Oh, say, can you see?
Country singer Brad Paisley from last night. He also sang the U.S. anthem at the other 18-inning game in 2018, which was also a Dodgers victory. Major League Baseball says he has sung the anthem at 4 World Series games, and every single one went to extra innings. Still ahead, we'll take you to Los Angeles as the Jays fight to tie up the series. The Toronto Blue Jays were looking to erase an excruciating loss in Los Angeles and rewrite a new Hollywood script in Game 4 of the World Series.
Hit well to deep left center. And this one will go.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. woke the bats up with this massive home run off Shohei Ohtani, a swing that put the Blue Jays ahead. From there, the offense busted it open, and the Jays picked up a pivotal 6-2 win to square the series at 2. They were looking for redemption, and they got it in Los Angeles, which is where we find CTV's Adrian Gabriel. And Adrian, another thrilling finish, and fans will be getting a lot more sleep tonight.
That's right, Omar. And I think we found just a few Blue Jays fans here at Dodger Stadium. Have a look right here.
Let's go, Blue Jays! Let's go!
The fans are feeling pretty good tonight in Los Angeles. We can't really overstate how important of a win this was for the Toronto Blue Jays for a number of reasons. One, this World Series is coming back to Toronto. And Omar, if the Jays had lost tonight, they would have had to win the next 3 games in a row against the Los Angeles Dodgers, something that likely would have been a difficult task, a difficult feat. The Jays pulling out the win tonight, a big game. We're back here tomorrow for Game 5. Trey Savage is on the mound, and after that, the Blue Jays and these fans are coming back to Canada.
All right, Adrian, I said they would be getting more sleep, but maybe not. Maybe they'll be partying. Thank you so much, Adrian Gabriel in Los Angeles tonight. Of course, last night's marathon matchup, as Adrian mentioned, between the Blue Jays and Dodgers had fans sleep deprived today. Here's CTV's Paul Hollingsworth on whether it was worth it.
Blue Jays fans who stayed up until early Tuesday morning were crushed and
tired.
Some fans tried to watch the entire game.
But I was too tired. At my age, you got to get to bed.
Others chose to look away.
I couldn't believe it when I heard it went 18 innings.
Ohtani, oh, center cut fastball, ball swung, and ties it.
The stress was too much, so they turned off their TV.
I'm checking the phone every few minutes to see what the scores are.
Even some hardcore fans decided staying up until almost 4 a.m. on the East Coast wasn't worth it.
Once it goes to an extra inning, you know there could be a lot more. So I just said, no, this is it. I'm done.
At a Rogers Centre watch party, about 1,000 dedicated fans stayed until the bitter end, with the score tied 5-5 and 3 a.m. Eastern fast approaching.
High fly to center. Varsho back. Game over.
When Freddie Freeman stepped to the plate in the 18th inning, for some it was merciful, a mixed blessing.
Disappointed the Blue Jays lost, but happy I got to go to bed.
Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
And that's a snapshot of this Tuesday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night, and see you tomorrow.